Boom. What the fuck? We're live. Dude, wait till you see it. Wait till you see it. Everyone else, I hope you're doing pretty well tonight. It's the proper way to start the stream. I'm looking at the other screen. Hold on. let, let me take off my glasses. Now I can see. Actually, you know what? I have polarizing glasses and another pair of polarizing glasses, so I can fucking see anything. I do have allergies today. All right, let me take off that stupid hat. Hold on. Boom. I, I hope I hope you people enjoy it. I hope you enjoyed it, the way I started the stream. All right, I want to start with something that I got in a mail, or actually no, I didn't got in a mail. I got an email from this company, DB Meyer, and they've sent me a coupon for me to try this little thing right here. I'm just gonna remove this. That's something I used. I gotta put my hand on it because it's out of focus. Something I used personally when I was drawing those images. One of those you guys could see in just moments ago. And this message is not sponsored by anyone, by any means. No, but they've sent me this stuff, and I just decided to show you guys what that is. It's basically like a little light box right here. It's hard to see on the camera. You can actually see it pretty well. I'm gonna put my pen on it. There you go. Ooh, it's sliding off. There you go. And yeah, it's I think B5 size or something like that. It's super cool. The one I used for my drawings way back when was I used like the same format, or I think a slightly larger one from a different company though. And this thing is super light, fucking light as hell. I actually like it because you can throw it in your backpack, and it's USB connected, so you can connect it to your laptop, for instance, or if you have like a battery pack, you can connect it there too. But it's pretty freaking light. Like I actually put the light on the maximum, and let me put my drawing on it. So this is a drawing. You can see how bright it is, and then I made another drawing. I'm super prepared for this fucking stream, dude. And you can put the glasses on top of that little guy. I would have to kill. Hold on, let me kill the light. There you go. You can see it better. And what's cool about it is I could start making sketches in Photoshop, and then let's say if I want to fix this painting, and she's supposed to have little goatee, then I can completely do that. Boom. See how perfectly it works? You have to clip it together, obviously. I'm gonna do like a proper demo. This is bullshit. This doesn't work as intended, but I wanted to show you guys this thing because it's cool. And I actually put the link in the description. It's sponsored link, obviously, because I'm preparing to buy that Bugatti that I promised. But you guys should check it out if you're doing like a drawing, and you need a light box. This is a good one. And I normally don't do those things. I don't fucking do sponsors or whatsoever. But I thought that this is really cool because I used the one from the different company, and this is rad as hell. I'm actually fucking sweating right now. Lightbox. Yeah, Lightbox. Specifically Lightbox. So, anywho, we should get going with the little AMA. You guys can ask me any questions you want. I'm here to answer them all. I'll keep this beautiful image staring at you. So this lady on an image will tell you whether your question is good or bad. If it's stupid, she'll have the same look if it's stupid or not. So yeah, it's gonna be my second Bugatti, dude. That's exactly it. I'm actually gonna do some drawing as we talk. So if there's no questions coming in, we can just have a civil conversation with Mr. Momo on this bitch. So how about that, man? How about that? You sound really sleepy. Now that's a product placement. I'm actually gonna use that shit. I have it plugged in, and I cannot wait to start jamming with it. I know Jama said yes for joining us on the stream to do that kind of stuff. And actually, Momo, nobody can hear you as I'm talking, but they'll be able to hear you now. Boom. Yeah, you were laughing.
So they can hear me. There's Jama's actually going to be on the stream on the 11th, I believe. I can double check that right now and let you know.
Yeah, he's gonna be on that, and then I asked him on Facebook whether he would be interested in doing some kind of a live stream, specifically related to Oculus stuff, and he said absolutely yes. So it would be either Oculus or he would just do a Gravity Sketch demo, any sort of that stuff. That's gonna be all on the Twitch streams, on the Learn Squared Twitch streams, motherfuckers. That's exactly where it's gonna happen. So, is there any questions coming in, dude?
No. What brush do you use?
Oh,
the potato brush.
Next question.
When it comes to character concept design, is it better to be paid by the hour or a fixed rate for a duration of time? Or is it a personal choice or preference?
So when it comes to character design specifically, right? So it doesn't apply to any other. When it comes to work in general, and let's talk about the payment methods you might be getting working in the industry, right? So when it comes to work in general, the way you should look at it is not whether you work for characters or environments or anything like that. It's like, what is your payment structure in general, and how you preferred being paid. So there's two different types of payment methods for getting you compensated for the work you do for a studio or a client. One is being paid per hour or per day or per week, something like that, or being paid for a completed task. So those are two completely different methods of being paid. They have their own strengths and weaknesses. I specifically prefer being paid by day. So I charge a daily rate, and then I send my invoices usually weekly or bi-weekly. I don't send monthly invoices anymore. They take too much time. A lot of companies like to obey by their own payroll rules, and if you just send stuff monthly, then you might, if you're late a day or two, not to their payroll window, that might mean you're gonna wait a little longer. Normally you should be paid within 30 days. That's like, I guess, standard. It's getting better and better over time. Some companies are actually pretty quick. In film industry, as you're sending time cards and your basically your invoice is a time card, so you indicate what days you worked on, and then they submit it the week off, and then the week later you get a check, or maximum 2 weeks later you get a check, and that's basically weekly from that point, right? So you're weekly getting paid for all the time you spend. Now, when it comes to payments where when you get paid for like a specific task, I rarely do that kind of job. I actually did only for past 3 years or 2 years, I only did one assignment like this, and it was very recent. And the only reason I did it, it was because it was financially better, because I knew how much time I'm gonna spend on something. Then I negotiated the budget with the company, and then I got paid for that task. And then anything extra that they would want to have done, that would be outside of the limit, that would be charged extra. So that's the pitfall that a lot of artists fall into, where they if you decide to get paid per task completed, you have to specify how many changes you're going to do within that payment. And then if studio or art director asks for more changes, you have to make sure that you're getting compensated for those. So let's say any additional revision would be X amount of money added to your check. You have to do that. I've seen some of my friends, amazing artists. If I would say the names, I don't want to say the names, obviously, but if I would say the names, you would be surprised that they fell into that problem, where they would feel like, I'm getting like a hell of a deal for creating X amount of images for X amount of money, but then the art director would constantly ask for changes, and it would drag for a month, and it ended up them being paid like 1/5 of what they would be normally paid for the same work doing for someone else, right? So you can imagine how many fucking shit they had to go through in order to get it completed. And because it's not stated in the contract, if you don't have it stated in the contract that any changes you're getting paid for, then they can ask for whatever changes they want with the and they have the ball in their court, because they can say, like, if you don't do those changes, we're not gonna pay you because you haven't completed the task. You know what I mean? It's like it just becomes this trap that you're in, and you cannot sort of get out of it. So you have to be really careful when you do that stuff. So
And all of that can be sort of covered if you just have a good contract.
yes, so you have to cover it with a good contract. I honestly like to be paid per day or per hour. I don't like hourly payments, for a reason that then sometimes my work, in a day I can work 3-4 hours and get more done than the next day if I work 12 hours. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get into that flow and you get stuff done, and other days you're gonna have freaking 6-7 tries and nothing's working, like literally nothing's working, and you're just like banging your head against the wall, and nothing is really coming together, and you still have to deliver. They don't care, and you cannot charge them like 6 hours of work for something that is not finished, or for failed tries. Like, clients are not gonna buy that. You have to deliver the proper work. So I rather be paid by day, and if something goes wrong, I have a full day to do it. Additionally, I never send work the same day. That's like the rule that I have, because sometimes, again, you might be failing, and then you can pull the all-nighter if you have to in order to fix it. And then in an eye of your client, you're the good guy because you actually delivered what they've been expecting. They don't care if you worked all night, honestly, but it's like I found it as a safe way to work with clients that way. So
How, like, when, if you're working on something and the client comes and says, Mache, like, we want to have this change or whatever, like, you don't do it the same day, but how much buffer time do you give yourself in general?
it depends on what changes they want, right? If they want like very significant changes, I like to be honest with my clients and tell them, hey, like, this will probably take another day of work, And if the deadline is so that it has to be finished earlier, well, then tough shit, right? I'm not gonna be able to. I'm not, whether I'm not fast enough or something, I don't know. Like, any of those things can be crucial to whether they want to make changes or not. So I like to be honest with my clients and tell them right away. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I like to promise things that I can deliver. And sometimes when I feel like I can deliver a little extra, I'll put myself in trouble and promise more. But then I know I can, like, if it's something that is within my comfort zone, I
Mm-hmm.
know I can deliver it, right? Whereas if you know if let's say I was supposed to do work that, let's say, Vitali does, like the similar amount of detail in 3D and whatnot, I would never overpromise anything. I would try to be as vague as possible in terms of like how much can be done. And actually, when we had that stream with Vitali, he was mentioning some cool techniques of working with clients, like where you just basically get a mock-up done, and then you pick one part and you like detail the shit out of it, and then show that as a close-up and say, this is what it is and this is where it can get. So it's a feasible amount of work that you're presenting to a client, um, and they see what it can be, so they are not disappointed seeing just something that is half-assed in a way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Next question. Do you think that traditional concept design painting processes like Sid Mead or McQuarrie are worthy pursuits in the digital age?
Unless you are willing to be, like a good example of making it work would be a guy like Karl Kopinski or Kim Jung-ji. Like those are outliers that have done an amazing work, right? And there's quite a few Instagram artists that work traditionally only, but they are more into like sort of like a fine art area.
Mm-hmm.
I know I've met Karl Kopinski on THU. He's such an amazing guy. He's such a fucking awesome guy to hang out with and talk. Super British too. It's like super British accent, dude. Um, but I know like he works for studios and does a lot of like sketches and illustrations in traditional way. But because of like how much he works in it, he's super fast too, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
but generally speaking, in film, there's maybe one or two artists that still work traditionally, but they already know how to work digitally too. So they only work traditionally for very specific things like sketching. But generally, everyone is digital. And if you wanna be competitive, especially in entertainment industry, you wanna stick to digital. You don't wanna do traditional work. Traditional would be great if you're building your own audience and you want to become like a persona. You're gonna have your audience. You're gonna sell prints, stuff like that, and maybe do like exhibitions and shit like that. That's where it works. But other than that, it's a difficult thing to make it work. Like you have to be a badass because if your work is average, there's gonna be hundreds of thousand. Well, I mean, not hundreds of thousands, but there's gonna be so many more artists that are better than you that work digitally, and they will be 20 times faster than you. And any changes, and because in film and games, you're constantly addressing changes to the design. There's unless you work with like an excellent designer, production designer or something that know what they are doing, you most likely gonna be doing dozens, if not hundreds, of changes on your images. So imagine starting, you get like halfway there with like your rendered image, and you have to start over. What the fuck? Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna start over? That's not gonna happen, right?
Mm.
I've seen it happen, and production designers don't like that
Gotcha.
because it's all money, right? It's all quick things, quick changes, done it quick. Hurry up and wait, in a way, right? In Hollywood, that's what they say. Hurry up and wait. That's what they
Next
say.
question.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah. Next question. Is there any art book you're looking at these days?
No, I don't. I don't think I'm not a kind of guy, and I have a lot of books in my room. I have a lot of like Japanese books that are inspiring, and you cannot find a lot of that work online. So I mostly have books where you cannot find stuff online. Um, but generally speaking, I I I used to like books, but I found that I'm engaging with them less and less in a way. Like I'm not as uh, adamant about reading personally. I know I should, but um, a lot of work that my favorite artists post, it's already online, and it's so much quicker to Google it. And in print, some things that are done digitally don't look that great in print. So I prefer looking at that stuff
On a screen.
on the screen. Yeah, it's just easier, you know. And again, it comes down to a lot of it comes down to the fact that you want to simplify things if you can, because if you simplify things in your life, the more you simplify it, the more time you're gonna have to focus on getting the right things done. I'm having this problem where I'm just getting older. I feel it. I feel it every day that I'm getting older. I cannot work the same amount of work that I used to when I was 25. There's no way I can do that. No way I can pull it off. I remember when I joined Naughty Dog. Even it's been like fucking 7 years now when I joined those guys and I worked with them. I remember I could do so much work. I would come back from work and do work till 2 or 3 a.m. and then wake up 7 a.m. and be fresh. Fucking good luck doing that today. It's not gonna happen. Not for me at least. So I started to value my time a little more, and that means that I only look at do the things that are heavily beneficial, or try to do things that are heavily beneficial. So
What are some of the things that you cut, for instance, recently to give yourself more time to do the things you dig?
well, I definitely do less work to begin with. Like I'm
Hmm.
not spending as much time working because I have to choose. I can do only a few things, and it's either work or family and stuff like that, or there's not much time left. Especially when once you have family, things kind of change, and they change a lot. And you know
Yeah.
this.
Yes,
You personally know this.
I'm in diaper land,
It's shit
guys.
that diaper land. Um, because what's gonna happen? I had this on my THU talk. I mean, some people asked about what I liked about this year's THU was the fact that everyone was like, a lot of talks that were happening this year were very honest, and they were coming from the heart of artists. And I've mentioned this on Twitch already on Thursday, but one of the things that you realize pretty quickly is that a lot of your favorite artists, and when they present their life and show how awesome everything is, they don't really show you the sort of like what's happening in the kitchen, and what's happening in the kitchen can be really rough, really really rough. So don't fall into watching how amazing people's life are on social media, because I can tell you for the fact that what you see on social media is not the representation of what the reality is. It's a colorful image of someone selling what perfect life would look like, but it isn't. It's almost like I wish my life was this way, therefore I'm showing it this way. It's almost
Mhm.
feeling like being in LA, where everyone is miserable, or at least majority of them are, and they just try to show how awesome life is. Everyone is so fucking fake in this town. I cannot believe how fake people can be here. It's like everything is very surface. When you talk to people,
Mhm.
everything they say is super surface. You're rarely ever gonna have a conversation with someone that gets you to know them a little better. It's always gonna be something on the surface level, and you cannot trust anything what people say these days, especially in town like this one. So I know like smaller towns are different. When you go to a smaller town, people are more open, you know.
I guess there's a better in smaller towns. You have a better sense of community. There's actual communities,
Right.
which requires more transparency, honesty. Otherwise, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe I have Asperger's. I don't know. I haven't checked myself, but I don't feel any sense of community being here. I honestly feel like I'm in a town that has millions of people where I don't know anyone. You know,
Most of your
like
interactions are online.
yeah. I mean, I don't leave home too much either, so maybe that's the problem. But
That might answer the question.
but you know what? It's like it, you go to a shop and people are gonna smile. Obviously, they want to sell you something, but that's about it. Like uh, the amount of moments where someone is genuinely nice to you out of heart, not just because like they want to score like brownie points for whatever reason, but just like genuinely like, hey, like I just want to be nice, this today and do something nice for one another. It's like even when you see people helping other people, only talking about LA, right? I'm not talking about any other else. But especially if someone comes from like a really good neighborhood and then do something good, not all of them, but most of those people, the fucking face they make, you want to punch them in the face when they're doing that, and not because they're doing something good and you're jealous. It's just because like they're making this kind of sense of proud, like I'm such a I'm such a piece of shit, but I because I made this thing, it's like I can do that checkbox that I'm a nice person and move on with my life and be asshole to everyone else. You know what I mean? Like the same
Yeah.
person who's gonna be screaming and yelling how fucking kill you and your mom and your children in the car will walk off the car like, oh, I was a bad person. I better do something good. And you see it on the faces of people. Like you can tell if someone is genuinely doing something or not, right? There's something you can tell in the way they behave. So it's really annoying. It's one of the things that fucking annoys the shit out of me in this city.
Yeah, it's good
Even
that
though,
it's good
dude,
that
even honestly, there's so many awesome things about LA when you live here, like the amount of amenities and everything. But yeah, the more I talk with friends, like fuck, like everyone noticed the same. Like not everyone, but a lot of people notice the same shit, especially if you have interactions with the industry. So it is what it is, though. I don't complain.
uh
I'm just living my life. I'm just saying how it is. But yeah,
yeah,
I think we
I
went
mean
off topic, right?
from the outside it seems, at least when you're an aspiring concept artist or whatever, you look at LA, and you have Brainstorm, you have all these like
Those places are
facilities that,
nice, right? Like
yeah,
it's
exactly, you
so
have all
awesome to
these
be
places
around it,
that
but
will help you. It's almost like a beacon when it comes to like pushing your skills and like getting into that industry and everything. But yeah, like anything, there's always two shades to everything.
LA is not a city of angels then? No, it's a city of porn stars. That's what it is.
There you have it. All right, next question. Let me see. Let me see. If you also, what are your, okay, someone's asking, do you still work on like with traditional mediums? And if so, what are your thoughts on it?
So I did those illustrations for like this one, right?
Yeah.
Oops. People can see, yeah, like that one. I did those daily, way back when, but then like I ran out of time. It's good to do those. Like um even if you paint digitally most of your life, and that's what I did. It's such a refreshing thing to do it, and just do a little bit of that, a little bit of traditional
Yeah.
painting,
Mm-hmm.
mostly because it just gives you such a different perspective on everything, because you don't have Control Z anymore. That's to begin with, right?
Gotcha.
No
Gotcha.
no Control Z. to begin with. And that makes a huge difference because then you start thinking about every single brushstroke you make, every single line you make. All of those decisions you make really matter. Because one, it's like it's super stressful because when you draw this way, when you draw on paper and you make a mistake, oh my God, you're so pissed because it's fucking ruined. It's done. Like you up to like 90% of a painting, you're like, fuck yeah, it's probably gonna be my best work. And then you just like, let's say your pen spills and you have like on the chin of a character that looks perfect, you're gonna have like this fucking blotch of ink. It's done. It's ruined. Fuck you. That's what's up. Your pen is telling you, go fuck yourself. That's basically what happens. And having that experience is really refreshing because it just like tells you, it makes then when you go back to digital painting, you're a little more careful where you place lines and how you paint and how you do those things, right? You're like more aware. And I think that's like the best part of it. So.
And it's more precious too, right? Because
Oh yeah.
it's not as like you were saying, the ability to like Control Z, Command Z, and all of that sort of takes away the risk. It takes away the even the focus, that you put in the work, because instinctively that you can always fix it later, so you don't need to worry as much. And I'm just thinking, like, as a kid, when you're drawing something, like you're like on the hunt, like a cat on the hunt, like you're so focused on what you're doing.
Exactly.
And now, it's a completely different experience when you're sitting in front of a screen. Like there's like that I don't know. I just know that I don't have that same experience that I do when I'm drawing mangas or whatever not.
Yeah. It makes it for a different painting for sure. Like you start to learn those things and the way they affect your work, and it's a really good thing to try. Like even if you're gonna suck at it and you're not gonna show any of that, and hey, like you don't have to show all of your work. Like ask yourself a question: who you're doing it for? Are you doing it for yourself, or are you doing it for the audience? If you're doing it for the audience, then yeah, just show the good stuff. But if you do it only for yourself, then fail as much as you can, because then you learn. Like you fail and you make mistakes, and you see what happens when you make mistakes, and then you try not to make the same mistakes ever again. It's a good philosophy to have, I think. At least.
Next question.
Let's go.
Someone's asking, how do you go about organizing your schedule, like your work schedule?
So I'm bad at it. I miss phone calls. I try not to, but it happens to me. And I try to get organized as much as possible. I think the best thing you can do, which is something I've taken from the Eat That Frog, and I'm really, really, really trying to implement it in my life as much as I can. But sometimes you're lazy and you just cannot help it. You know what I mean? Like you're supposed to do something, and then like fuck, I think it's a good idea to work on my ZBrush skills instead. um, but that happens, and sort of like I guess setting up alarms is crucial. Setting up alarms will notify you that something has to be done. And then another point would be just tackling things that you're supposed to tackle up front, especially like the most difficult tasks. Start your day with those, and try to get them finished. Once you finish the task that is the most important one in your day, first of all, you're not going to be stressing out so much anymore. Second of all, it's your like a task that has to be completed, so you have to be done with it, and you're done with it. Then everything else that is after that is a bonus. So you've done what you're supposed to do. You feel very accomplished, and the most difficult thing is already done. That means that anything else that you've planned for the rest of the day is going to be extremely easy for you. And there's some power achievers, people that are just so focused and they can do so much work, focused work. It's insane, right?
Hmm.
Um, I think Ash is like that. Ash is like a perfect example of a power achiever. That guy is fucking. I don't have his
He's
focus.
focused as fuck.
I wish I had his focus. Like it's not gonna happen. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know what that is. I don't know what he eats for breakfast. Um, I can only reach certain levels, and then my brain just like you literally feel like there's a barrier in your brain. Like there's a vault that said like the vault has like a little writing that you have to come really close to, able to read it, and it says nope, and that's it. Like you cannot open it. You can try to like drill through it, and then eventually maybe break it after a couple of years. But yeah, I mean you can change your habits, obviously, right? But for some people, changing habits takes um, quick, like couple of tries and you're there. For some people, it takes months. So to me, being unproductive and all of those things take months to fix. And but yeah, I think tackling the hardest part as much as you can, and almost forcing yourself to tackle it. The problem is sometimes things feel and seem very difficult, so we don't want to do them. But at the moment you start doing those things and really focusing on getting those things done, you stop thinking about what you do and you do instead. And you can train yourself to think that way. It's like what soldiers do, right? They don't think about pain and being tired because they've trained themselves to a point where
Mm.
they know that that doesn't matter in the situation, that they have to go anyways. Like if you're being deployed to a war zone and your ass is on fire and you're being shot at, you're not gonna be fucking thinking that you did I just sleep 4 hours today? I should take a nap. Like that's the last thing you're gonna think about. Um, so yeah, I think
Yeah,
uh, I
man.
think that
Yeah, for
answers.
sure.
I think that answers the point, right?
Yeah. What I do,
Yeah.
I
What do you do
I
personally?
I just reward myself for everything that I accomplish, no matter how small. I reward myself. Like it can be anything,
I
I
just stood up from my chair.
yeah,
Reward.
anything, like I worked for an hour, I'm going to go for, a 5-minute walk
Right.
or call like whatever I do, and that made a massive difference. And so that's number one, just rewarding myself for everything. Number two was to pay attention to where I spend my time, and it's same thing, something I got from Eat That Frog, like proactive procrastination. So making sure that when I procrastinate, I actually do things. I procrastinate on things that are useful to me.
Right.
And
Makes
I
sense.
do pay attention on what is useful. Like I've mentioned this like several times on my stream and on Slack and whatever, but I made a mind map of everything that I wanted to accomplish, all the skills I wanted to learn, everything. I made a massive mind map from everything from like martial arts, whatever. And when I saw everything, I was like, there's no way in hell all this is happening. So I started taking off whatever was like third degree, second degree, and I just kept like the most important stuff. And when I saw the most important stuff, I decided to just pick one. And, in terms of skills and design, I just picked 3D modeling. And when
Mm-hmm.
I got good at that, the second step was shading and rendering. And I just decided to pick one thing, stick to it, and keep going. And anytime I do something good, reward myself. Go to
Good.
the beach every weekend, like do stuff with the family so they're happy. Just basically to kill as much stress as possible, to not even let it get to the point where it starts affecting how I operate, my mood, and whatever.
Right.
Um, yeah, that's how I go about it.
Yeah, you just cannot overthink things, right? You don't want to overthink.
Yeah, because at the
Overthinking
end of
is
the day, it only
procrastination.
bothers you. It only makes you suffer, and no
Nobody
one's in
cares.
your head living with you, telling you, "Oh, Mo, like this is too." No, you have to, at one point, like you decide, okay, you know what? I'll just say this. I'll say this to live on the stream. Every decision that I make, and this might be creepy or whatever, but I just picture myself on my deathbed. That's how I make decisions. If it's going to make me sad and make me regret that moment of my life, I don't do it. If it's going to make me
Interesting way
happy,
of
I do
thinking.
it. That's how I go about every single decisions. And if that's going to create, like arguments or whatever, I don't care. As long as if I close my eyes, picture myself on my deathbed, if that doesn't make me sad or regret that moment, I don't care what people say. And when you
Uh,
get to the point where you don't care what people say, your life is 50% easier.
oh yeah. The moment you stop giving a fuck about what people say and really focus on what matters is when your life starts to change. And
Yeah.
it's a very interesting philosophy that you have. Actually, there was a survey that was done with the nurses in nursing homes, where nurses were asking people on their deathbeds, like, what is your biggest regret of your life, right? I think it's like a really popular study. I think a lot of people have been talking about it. But the most 90% of people on their deathbed in nursing homes, they say one thing: I wish I have done X, Y, or Z, but I was too scared to try it,
Yeah.
and now it's too late. I haven't done this. I could have tried that, but I never tried. I never done anything. I wish I have tried it and then realized that I suck at it, but at least I would have that peace of mind that it wasn't for me. And now I don't know. And then you have what ifs, because of that. So that was like the regret of not trying and not doing something is the biggest thing that's been mentioned in that study. Um, So it's always like, just try. I mean, what can happen? What is the worst that's going to happen? It's not like we live in times where we have fucking tigers and wolves approaching to the caves we live in, and they're going to fuck us up because we don't have fire that night. You know what I mean?
Mm.
We live in such a easy times. There's war, there's famine, there's all of those things that are still happening, but for at least for the people that happen to listen to the stream, if you're, I mean, there are people that have really fucking rough in this life, right? There's some countries that it's really terrible to be in, and just life is
Yeah.
not fair.
Yeah,
Um,
but you don't have to hunt for like what your point is basically,
yeah, what I mean
instead
is
of
like
going to hunt for your food, you go to whatever grocery store. It's
exactly.
already cut, skinned, cleaned, packaged, so that's sort of your point. Not that
Yeah,
life is easy, but
no,
things
I
are
mean
easier.
making a decision where I'm gonna try something and fail is not as dire as trying to catch a fucking animal, and then that animal decides to charge on you and fuck you up, and then you're wounded and you die in the forest. You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
that's like the difference. Like, you're not making a decision to hunt a moose, and then moose turns around and decides to charge on you, and you only have one arrow. Like, that's not a decision you're making anymore. You're making a decision whether you're gonna feel emotionally satisfied for that time being or not, and that's about it. You're not starving while doing it. You know what I mean? It's like you're trying something, and if you fail, you failed. You can move on with your life or try again. Like, there's no dire consequences of doing something like that, or trying to be an artist. Like, if you want to try to be an artist, just try to be an artist. Like, learn the ways, find out what you have to do, where you have to start. There's many resources, including this fucking awesome stream. um, but and then you try it. You literally try. There's no dire consequence of trying something that is not. It might be mentally challenging. It might be physically challenging. But it's not gonna kill you. I guess that's the point I'm making. Or it's not gonna make your life miserable. the worst thing that can happen to you by trying something like that, like trying to draw or trying to learn perspective, or even try to email a client that you want to work with and maybe your work is not too good. You know what's the worst thing gonna happen to you? They're gonna ignore your email. That's the worst thing that's gonna happen. And you know what's the best thing that can happen afterwards? Unless they're psychopaths, and 99.9% of clients aren't, they will not even remember who sent that work. And next time you send something better, they'll not even connect the dots. Unless again you have like some kind of psychopath that remembers every fucking email they ever read, and then decide that anything that is not perfect is bad, and they cannot talk with that person. That fucking I never seen that happen. How many times it happens that you have an artist that it happened to me, and I'm pretty sure it happened to someone who were writing to me, where you send work to an artist and you get ignored for whatever reasons. It can be millions of reasons why, and then you send your work a year later, and you get like, dude, your work is awesome. You know how many times that happens? It happens a lot, right? One of the reasons why artists don't reply to requests like that, and I 100% understand that, and I think every young artist that is sending work to people should never get offended if they never get a reply. It's very simple, and we already discussed it. Like, there's only X amount of things that you can do in your life during the day that you have. All of us depend. It doesn't matter if you're a millionaire or if you're piss poor. We have one currency that doesn't change to all of us, which is time. And there's only X amount of things you can do in a day. So for a prolific artist like, I don't know, Hash or
Vitaly,
Craig
Jama.
Mullins, Jama, all of those guys, right? They already know what they're gonna do that day. So they have their A, B, and C priority things to do. And your email with work is probably not on A or B priority. They have to get those things done first. You know what I mean? So if an artist has, or someone has like a day where to do fucking nothing, and sometimes just doing nothing is on A priority. You know what I mean? It's like you don't want, as an art, whether you're an artist, you're working in coal mine, whatever you do, you want to have your personal time off where you just literally don't give a fuck, and it's as important as your work. And so for instance, when I send emails to people that I really admire, or I want to ask someone a question and I get no reply, I used to get upset about it. It's like, oh man, like I'm a big fan, and and I don't get any reply. Maybe they're an asshole or something. You know what I mean? I say, you know what I mean, a lot, and you know what I mean. It's a bad fucking habit. But I used to get upset, and I was thinking that way. But then I realized, like, it's a very selfish of myself to do that, because I'm just a person. I'm just this one guy, and there's probably hundreds or dozen, or even if it's just two more people like that. It's still, I'm demanding someone else's time for my own pleasure. You know what I mean? And again, I said, you know what I mean? And it's a very selfish thing to do, and I'm not blaming anyone of doing that, but you have to realize that first. And when you realize that, then you should never get upset if someone doesn't reply to you, because exactly for that reason. Someone might be a very kind person. There are people that are very good at replying to everything, everyone, all the time. And that's what they do. And I admire those people personally. I try to reply as much as I can, but there's a threshold at which I say, like, stop. That's it. Like, my brain doesn't function in a way where I can get distracted with so many things, because when that happens, when I get distracted with too many things, then I'm not focused and I'm not delivering on the work that is most important in my life. And that's the way I look at it. And that's one of the reasons why I like doing streams where I can ask you guys to join and ask me questions. That's the specific window of time that I have, that I know I'm focused on this one thing and one thing only. Talking with my audience, talking with people that come here or stumble upon and want to ask questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just said it again.
um,
Awesome.
and it has
Awesome.
nothing to do with being an asshole or not. So I used to look at it that way, and I stopped, and I ask a lot of I make a decision where like I gotta ask them a question. If they reply, awesome. If not, then fuck it. You know, they don't have time, and maybe they'll have time. I literally met 2 or 3 artists during THU that I knew exactly that's what their life is, and I already tried to talk with them, and they said like, "Fuck, I want to talk with you too, but I told you you're busy." It's yeah, I guess. But anyways, someone's been asking this question a couple of times. Would I come to Charlotte,
Charlotte.
Charlotte, Charlotte? NC is for North Carolina, right?
Yeah.
Charlotte, North Carolina. Not anytime soon because literally I have nothing to do with North Carolina. Although my friend David Levy moved to North Carolina, and maybe one day if I visit him, that would be a good opportunity to do something or make something happen.
Hmm.
And that's the way I look at it. I think. I think the best way for now. I did my trip to THU. That was awesome. I spent 8 days out of the country. I miss my family like a motherfucker. I don't like traveling, honestly. I don't like it. I hate traveling. This kind of person, but the best way to reach out to me and have any conversation would be the streams for now. I do them regularly, as you guys know. But if and then outside of that, conferences like THU. But I don't know when I'm gonna do a next one. I really have to think about it. It's just
When
again,
was the last one you attended?
I've attended only 2 in my life. One was Massive Black, and I was there as just like walking by and saying hi to people, and that's it. That's pretty much it. But like a real conference or experience or whatever you're gonna call it, where you are with the other artists and you have a talk and you do a presentation and hang out with people. The only one that I've done so far was this year's THU.
Oh wow.
Actually no. Scratch that. I did in Santa Ana. I think it was Santa Ana or Anaheim. We did that conference organized by Anthony Jones. That was like a little thing. It was
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
local thing.
The
I can't remember what it was called, but
something juice or
Creative Juice.
creative juice. There you
Yeah,
go.
there you go.
Um,
That was the first one, and but like from the bigger ones, I would say THU, and I would really recommend THU for everybody who works in this industry, and
regardless of your skill level.
regardless. And
Okay.
you know what? Uh, there's a reason why you ask every artist that went there, and they say it's a life changing experience. I think what Andre did with that conference, or he calls it experience, however you want to call it, what he have done there is seriously um, uh, different than anything else you would experience. I think, and because it's THU is in Troya. Um, Troya is like a peninsula that is basically very secluded. There's nothing you can do there. Wherever you walk, you're gonna stumble upon someone who's there for the same reason. There's no way you can walk off and not meet anyone because it's literally very secluded area. And if you wanna leave that area, you have to take a boat. That's about it. Um, and I think they're moving next one to a different place. They didn't disclose where to yet, but I can guarantee it's gonna be secluded. Again, secluded in a way that if you are on the conference, you're on the conference. You're not there to check out how Paris or Brussels or London looks like. You're not there to do some sightseeing. You're there for that that reason and that reason only. You're there to speak and talk to people, and that's what he did, and it was amazing. I had my talk. My talk was 1.5 hours. The amount of time I've spent with talking to people was 7 days. Not all the time, but I try to talk to everyone. I think I was approached. I don't know how many times I was approached. I actually during one of the days they had those things called mentorships. It was literally just being in the beer garden and talking to people, and some people would show you work, and you would do portfolio reviews or just chat, whatever that, like, super mellow, right? I think I spent like 4 or 5 hours straight, and everyone would just come over like, "Do you want a beer?" I'm like, "No, I'm done. I'm okay." Um, the yeah, you could get drunk really quick doing that. But I really it's expensive because the just to be there, I think the tickets were $600, and then on top of that, hotels and everything. But I would fucking say, like, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, when I was learning, I was supposed to, like, I wanted to be an artist, and I was really looking into going into places like this, and I was broke as hell. Knowing what I know today, I would save my money and go and see it, because it was an experience. And if you take it seriously, you're gonna learn a lot, especially just by the fact that you are going to be able to talk with your favorite artists, most of them at least. So yeah, it was something. It was definitely something.
Yeah, and anytime I haven't been to a concept artist conference, but I've been to design conferences and things like that. And there's something very special about meeting one of your heroes, because
It could
when you
be good
meet,
or bad, right?
sorry, yeah, I mean, it can be good or bad. And in some case, I'm talking about the positive case. You know, you work hard, you push your skills and everything. You go to a conference, you meet your hero, and you realize that, you know, he's just another guy like you. He puts the
Exactly.
same amount of work, and he's just a regular person. And the great thing about that is you start killing your heroes, not literally, but you start
Just go there
you
with
meet the
machete.
person and you realize that, okay, I'm actually at the same level as this guy. Who's next? And you find another hero, you work towards that level, you meet that hero, you kill the hero, and so on and so forth. And you start leveling up very, very quickly when you start meeting these guys.
You kill the myth. You kill the myth of
You
someone.
kill the myth,
Yeah,
exactly.
you meet a person and you just cannot believe that this person is either the biggest douchebag you've ever met, or the best, like, not even the best, just the most regular person. You could fucking
Just
go to
doing something
McDonald's
he
and
takes.
talk with the random person. It's gonna be exactly the same deal.
Yeah,
It's just the only difference is that the person you're talking with has a little more experience than you. That's it.
yeah, yeah.
That's
It's a
it.
big, big thing. Like
Oh yeah,
I
it's
know
just an
that
eye
helped me a
opening.
lot.
I met so many guys over there. I was just like, you're just a regular dude. You're just like,
Yeah.
you couldn't be more regular than you are. Like, literally, you couldn't be more average person. And there are some personalities too. Like, I've met Eric Canetti from Riot Games,
Mm-hmm.
and he's definitely a personality. Like, when you look at his Instagram, you can feel that in his personality too, especially when you talk with him. He's such an awesome guy. Super, regular in terms of, like, you could just hang out with him when you were over there, right? And he would talk with you. It's not like a
Uh,
fucking superhero who has 400,000 or whatever amount. He actually has 110,000 followers on Instagram, and you feel like, oh my god, he's a superhero. He's such a good guy, and I wish I was this and that. And you just talk with the guy. It's just like a regular dude. It just so happens is that he spends more time on this than you. One of the things you realize too when you talk with those heroes is you just realize, like, oh, I'm just lazy. That's it. I thought I'm working, but but then I go home and watch TV half a day. You know, there's something we talk about a lot, like busy work, where you just do work. You feel like you're doing work, but you're actually doing nothing because you're just keeping yourself busy with
Mm.
nothing. That's called busy work. Try avoiding that. We all do it, and it feels like and by the end of it, you're tired. Like, oh my god, I've done so much. Yeah, what exactly did you do? I checked some emails.
I've done
um,
that.
I've checked some emails and ooh, actually, I've done nothing. Yeah.
Oh man.
Um. Yeah.
There's a we'll ask these questions and perhaps just do a quick blitz. If you, I don't know how much longer do you want to stay,
Not
Mache?
too long. Let's go one more question. I'll recap. Recap the my THU experience, and
Okay.
then yeah, and then we wrap it up.
Okay,
So
so
I gotta go to bed.
there's a lot of questions about, like jobs and like doubt and all of that. But you've like these are questions I know you're going to answer at some point either in future streams, and you've done it like a ton in past streams, but there's
Yeah,
this
I'm
discussion.
thinking what I'm thinking to do. By the way, before you jump into that, is
Yeah.
I want to make more of those AMA sessions,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know how. Maybe through community help or something, or someone who will volunteer or whatever. Is basically come in and start cutting clips out of those conversations because when I do a stream, which is like usually an hour, maybe 2 hours, depending on what the stream is, it's really difficult to sort of like browse through everything and find answers because a lot of questions you guys ask are repeating themselves, and I don't mind answering them at all. It's just like if for your convenience, maybe it's easier if there's a short clip on the channel that actually has an answer. So I don't know how I'm gonna do it yet. There's something I'm throwing in as
Yeah,
an
if
alternative.
someone can sort of time code, sort of take down times and but yeah, that's something we can figure out. But yeah, I was gonna ask, like there was this conversation happening in the chat where there like basically when an artist is good, he's known, he has all his street cred and everything, but his style or the work he outputs is sort of the same. It looks exactly the same like it did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and whatever. Not like, what are your is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Does it matter? Should you always be exploring and pushing yourself to discover new things? Is it like like, can you stay comfortable in something you've discovered that works for you and you're happy about it? How What are your thoughts on that?
So I think what it comes down to is being content with what you do, right? Content with your work,
Hmm.
um, and that's absolutely okay. Like you don't, it's one thing to like constantly explore and try to get better at things, but sometimes you just want to slow down and just relax, right? Like we all have to. We're not machines after all. But you have to realize this one thing also is that, and it's a tricky gamble to play because you literally never know where you are with your skills, where the things are going. You can almost guarantee that a lot of artists that work in the industry that are out there, they're not showing their most present work unless it's a personal work. And when you see what Vitali drops every now and then, it looks awesome, right? But then when he drops a project that he worked on, your mind is blown. Like how in the hell he did that? And that was 2 years ago, by the way. Because majority of the projects, especially in the entertainment industry, you usually work on something and it takes time before it's released and before you're actually able to show it to the public. So, for instance, when I worked on The Last of Us and I released my Last of Us work, that was the work that I've done 2 or 3 years ago. And in some cases I moved on. I got better with one thing or another, but that's my old work. That's not my new work, right? I'm always trying to sort of find new things and recently come back to the things that I used to do and haven't done for a while, sort of like refresh a little bit. But you have to realize that if you're not moving on, nobody cares. If you're on a standstill or if you're learning something or not, others will. Others will learn as you're when you stop. You're in you're content with your work, but then you're gonna have younger kids and other artists that are actually picking up new skills, and before you know it, they're better than you, or you consider them to be good competition, but now they are getting the work that you're always thinking you will get, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of young artists that I see a lot of artists that I've seen their work I've seen 2 or 3 years ago, and it was okay. It was about maybe average, maybe good, and now they're fucking killing it. I'm jealous, It's
Mm-hmm.
and you realize that, and just like it's like a kick in the butt. You have to keep moving in a way. So it's just a matter of like if your work is good and you feel content and you have your job and it feels very stable, know that it's a temporary thing, and eventually you'll have to move on. It's exactly what happened to traditional art. A lot of traditional artists who never moved on, they don't work in this industry and they're miserable. Unless again, it's fine arts, and or they found their themselves to be, uh, you know, entertainers in a way, so they can, show their work to the public and entertain and be funny or be cool, whatever that is. But they're basically building a persona and presence on social media that helps them to be more self-sustained. I guess that's what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a route to follow. Obviously, there's so many artists, especially if you go on Instagram. You can follow so many artists that don't have to do jobs anymore, because the amount of audience that they have and the work that they produce is already getting them paid by merchandise that they sell, or sponsorships that they get because of the large audience that they have, right? The larger the audience you have, you're gonna start getting sponsors. Like if you have a YouTube channel, for instance, that has over 50,
PewDiePie.
if you have like YouTube
PewDiePie.
channel that has over 50 or 60,000 subscribers, I can guarantee you're gonna get sponsors. There's someone's gonna reach out with ideas to you. I get emails from people like right now. I'm not yet at the sponsors level, although the stuff that I presented, I could consider it sponsored, but it was one of those things like, hey, check it out. If you want to do a review, do a review. But have it. So sort of like this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens. And there's like different levels of sponsorship that you might get, but I know some channels that, the so right now, mostly what I get is emails like, I know how YouTube works. I can help you to get more
Yeah,
subscribers.
yeah. Those are the
um,
worst.
because those are. I mean, hey, maybe they know what they do. A lot of them are scam, obviously, but there are certain networks that reach out, and they're pretty legit. They have like pretty legit channels the very popular ones, and they will definitely help you. But in exchange, you lose half of what you do in a way. And I'm not really jazzed about that personally. I don't honestly. I couldn't care less about that. I literally don't give a fuck. Um, I rather grow this organically. I do it as a hobby. This channel is my hobby. I do it because I like to do it. So I have my work. I do my work and I get paid from that. But this is my hobby, and if it becomes profitable at some point, that's awesome. If I can make it happen, that would be great. Means I can do it more often because I like it. But otherwise, I literally don't give a fuck. So, but yeah, sponsorships happen eventually if you have a large audience that follows you, because that means you're a very easy marketing tool for those companies. And you get paid doing that. You get paid. There's a lot of channels that you'll be surprised. Oh, you make that much money from this? Holy shit! And it all depends like how big you are, and you can make a living. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, without working for clients, and that's awesome. You should always try doing that. But yeah, you want to keep moving on. You want to get better and better at your skills. You want to find out what's new, what's upcoming. I'll tell you, and maybe this is gonna be a good segue to. I'm actually gonna lean back a little bit, just get a little relaxed in my studio. Put my fucking sunglasses, because it's a cool thing to do. Sunglasses upon sunglasses. Joking. When I'm so it's gonna be a good segue towards THU, I think, where what I was saying. Oh, okay. This little thing I have right here when I'm pointing finger in my corner, the Oculus Rift. So I used to talk with Mark Simonetti online a little bit. I met him online. But I met him also on THU in person. He's such a fucking awesome guy to talk with, by the way. He lives in France. Super rad guy to talk with. But I met him, and he was saying, dude, you should go and check the Oculus booth, right? You should go there and check it out, because they have Oculus Medium, and you fucking gonna like it. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I've seen what Jama is doing. Jama is doing some good things. I've seen Raf Grassetti doing awesome things, but my point of view of that was like, how different that could be from ZBrush, right? I mean, ZBrush it's already fucking good, and it's just like, instead of rotating shit in 3D, you're just rotating shit on the screen, And ZBrush has better tools and it's faster and blah blah blah. I was just justifying the fact that I just didn't want to try it. But she said, like, go and check it out. And I remember I was there. They had this thing called collabs, which basically they made teams, and those teams were doing like a demo, where it was like a game demo or like a video. And each of the team had like a mentor that was, I think Spart was one of them.
Wow.
And yeah, I think Justin Fields was one of them. There's a bunch of like really fucking amazing artists that were basically leaders of each team. Some guys from Riot Games. I think Eric Canetti as well. But anyways, like awesome artists basically. And the guy who was running the whole thing was Eduardo Gonzalez. I had him on our cafe before, the visual development director of Riot Games. So generally amazing people running it, right? So I was there just check it out, because they were having a kickoff. I was just wondering what that is, and it was cool. And then the guys from Oculus came over and said, like, hey, you guys, like, I think it was 2 artists that they had that were doing the demos that knew who myself and David Levy and some other guys were, and like, hey, whenever you have time, like, come over, we'll show you what we do here, and it's, you might like it. So we came in next day. I was just like, oh yeah, it's gonna be, just like ZBrush with the goggles. And I put the goggles on and literally 2 minutes in, like, well, but of course I'm not gonna use ZBrush anymore. That was my reaction. I literally, the moment I landed back in LA, I was like, I'm fucking buying this shit. So I have it. I bought it. David Levy is getting his copy too, and yeah. So now when I see like Geo I can't remember how to spell his last name, Napkil or Nakpil. Can't remember if K or P was in the first. I'm fucking bad with names.
Okay.
My brain is like a fucking Swiss cheese, dude. I know Raf Grassetti and Glauco Longi, I believe his last name is. Again, people I talk with, and the weirder the name or the more complicated the name, the worse I am at it. Uh, hey, I can just napkin, 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 napkin. Fuck off. uh, napkin, you motherfucker. That's a good one though. But yeah. Hey, I've heard my name in so many different ways. Fuck it. I can say whatever I want. I'm Polish. I can say whatever I want. That was an ongoing joke at Naughty Dog because I literally would say what I want and never give a fuck. And then eventually it just became a meme between concept artists. Yeah, oh, you're Polish. You can say whatever you want. Anyways, but yeah, those guys. Whenever I look at what they are doing now, it's like fuck yeah, this is cool shit. Because I know the moment you put the goggles on and start just producing shit in 3D in like 3 dimensions, and you can walk around it, and it's just like, oh my god, it's such a different experience. Because so I had Vive before, and I tried Tilt Brush, and Tilt Brush it's okay, kind of cool, kind of works, but me. I was not that impressed. It was a very gimmick. You could create some cool shit, but it was gimmick. But then like now, that and then you have Gravity Sketch, and obviously you can go check what Jama is doing with it and get your mind blown away, generally. But yeah, I'm sold. I'm gonna start using it, as there's some good artists coming up for Twitch streams very soon. Very, very soon. We're gonna do some fucking jamming together. It's gonna be fun. What else? Yeah, I came there. It was really good. It was very secluded. The weather was okay. The ongoing meme was cigarettes and fish. If you go to a restaurant, all they serve is cigarettes and fish. And the reason is, I live in U.S. and any big cities in United States, or mostly in the United States, smoking is considered to be kind of rude, especially in public places, especially in a fucking restaurant. You should not smoke. And then being in Portugal, it was a complete opposite. It was just like I had to throw away half of my clothes. It was like cheap fucking $1 t-shirts that I couldn't care less about, but I thrown it away because they were like fucking soaked in smoke. I think I got cancer from being there. I wouldn't be surprised. There was so many people not giving a fucking smoking. And smoking like in front of children. There was a fucking waiter who was serving us food that was smoking right next to our table. Like, what the fuck? Like, for reals, what the fuck? And then I guess it would be considered rude to say what the fuck to a person that is smoking right next to your table as you're eating. So we had, me and David and a couple other guys had an ongoing joke that it's, all you get here is cheese, olive oil, cigarettes, and
and fish.
And fish. It was fun. But yeah, it was very packed show. We had there was talks all the time, and yeah. I've attended a couple of the talks. I've attended 3 that were really, I consider them to be really valuable in a way that they're really life changing in a way. So the first one I saw was from Manny Carrasco. Manny Carrasco is an artist. He actually used to work with David Levy, in Acclaim and all the other companies. They've worked together at Steambot. They actually co-owned it with 2 other people. And now he is more of a he's a weird dude. But weird in a good way. Like unorthodox. Like if you would meet him, you would never be able to tell he's an artist. Because first of all, he's a falconer. He has his own fucking hawk or falcon. that he hunts with. Like he's a hunter too. He hunts with bow. Like he's using bow and fucking hunts. Um, and he's also a great artist. And him and David Levy and a couple of other people, Christy Tipton and then there's people involved in the whole thing like Terrell Whitlatch and Ian McCaig and Aaron Blaze. They have this thing called expedition art. So his talk was about expedition art generally and what they do, and it's changing the world or changing animal world. I can't remember the phrase. One drawing at the time. So what they do is they create art books, T-shirts, and stuff like that, and they get the profits towards conservation efforts. I had my last episode, which I did at THU actually, thanks to Andre, was about that. It was about expedition art. So I saw his talk, and he was talking about animals and saving animals and the efforts that they do. He was showing slides from their trip to Africa where they were dehorning rhinos. And when you see that shit, it's like, yeah, I just create pictures for next film that is just gonna be fucking something boring probably. Whereas these guys are actually trying to save fucking world. And you just become like this small. So that was like really, really mind-changing, bending, and also sort of like very emotionally real thing where you know that there's certain things that are happening in the world, and you see those people that are trying to make something good to prevent it. We know that a lot of animals going extinct, like that rhino horns, for instance, it's hair. It's literally hair, right? But in underdeveloped countries, you're gonna have idiots that just generally say, "Oh, I'm gonna have a really hard dick if I make a cream out of it." Like that, it's hair. It's not gonna make it happen. It's like a placebo effect, but people buy into it. Lack of education, and people buy into it, and there's like very little price tag for hunting those things, right? So some of the rhinos are almost extinct because of it. It's because some fucking cunts in China and other countries that have a lot of people, unfortunately, that are not I think Chinese market is the biggest one, and I'm not blaming that on China, by the way. I'm just saying that because of the lack of education, you're gonna have fuckers that just basically use that and hunt animals and just make the world fucking worse place because of it. Just because they play on the idea of believe that rhino's hair can make your dick hard. You know what I mean? Or cure cancer, which is absolute bullshit, obviously. The same things even in US, right? You have those fuckers who have those mega churches, and they sell you on the idea that, hey, if you're gonna send me $1,000, you're gonna be saved and you can go to heaven, shit like that. That happens here too, because people are not paying attention to education. They're not getting themselves educated and believe in crap like that. There's 10% of Americans believe that the Earth is flat. For God's sake, something you learn, something you learn that is not true in fucking second grade, right? On geography lessons. It's just insane. But you see, but that's what happens. You have a market of dummies that people that are smarter than those dummies play upon, and unfortunate thing is hunting or poaching, not hunting, poaching. Poaching is the big issue. So dehorning is basically preventing from poaching, because they'll put the animal to sleep for like a short nap, remove the horn completely, and then let the animal go. And then when the poachers come over, they see an animal without the horn. There's no reason to shoot an animal for them anymore, because like they're not gonna get anything out of it. And by the way, in Africa, in those places, if the guards and people that work from and not only conservation but like army and police and whatnot, if they see someone with a gun in national park, they're ordered to kill them regardless of who they are. That's the law, right? If you're there with the gun, if they find you with the gun, and you're dead basically,
Yeah,
because that's how bad.
poachers get, yeah.
Yeah, they get fucked up.
That's how it works. Like if you're like those are it's like they're protected lands and everything, so you're trespassing, like you're breaking so many laws. But if they see you with a gun, yeah, it's literally like military action. Like
Yeah,
you're in a space you shouldn't be. It's like when an airplane violates airspace, like you
exactly.
have the right to shoot them down. That's how it works.
What's everybody's favorite zoo animal? Mine's potatoes. Good thing. Everyday bodybuilding. It's so good. But anyways, I saw his talk and it was awesome. It was really changing. It was not that. It was unfortunate that not many people have seen it. It was like not that many people actually went to see that talk. Was decent amount, but obviously not as many as would decide to go and see Ian McKay, right? But everyone who went there stayed. Like they want to ask questions and see what they can do to help and whatnot. Like the next thing they are doing right now is they're buying, from what I remember, they're buying land in Sumatra, and they're gonna build bridges so that the animals can pass those bridges, and get to the other parts of the forest, because like the palm oil deforestation is basically segregating animals into small pockets, and that really hurts diversity, and it makes animals to go extinct much faster because of that, right? So that's the next effort that they have, and then they're doing something with polar bears and all of that stuff. It's really really inspiring to see that, you know, um, with an effort like that, if you organize yourself well, then you can actually do some meaningful changes to the world, no matter how small they are. Just the fact that there's an awareness built from that is already very helpful, right? So obviously I've been talking about this for fucking past 3 episodes of Art Cafe and whatnot. That means that I'm inspired by it. And I'm just shoving it in your throats. Then I saw David Levy's talk. He talked about his life in general, and that really relates to people that go through depression and have problems. A lot of us go with the idea that I'm alone with my problems in life, and you know, your life is not going that well, and you feel like you're the only one because everyone around you is so awesome. That's basically was just that talk was like one thing that just was dispelling that myth completely. So yeah, so that was great. And then I saw Ian McCaig's talk, and that was another example that even people like Ian have fucking life-changing experiences that you personally would never want to go through. And it all looks amazing in pictures that are posted online and in books, but when it comes to reality, we all go through the same shit. So those like my 3 highlights from the from all the talks that I've seen, and obviously there were other ones that were amazing. Some of them were very technical. Some of them were I'm fucking tired. Philosophical.
Philosophical.
There you go. So talks were great. The way it was organized was amazing. What else can I say? I think the best part of it was just hanging out with people. The talks were amazing, but hanging out with people was great. There was this place, this beer garden, was called King Oasis. Everyone would go there. Everyone would be there. You'd have like a display with talks going on. If you really wanted to pay attention in between beers, you could do that. But it was a very cool vibe, and you could talk with people, and that was a highlight. Just seeing faces of the people. Like there were so many students from the Learn Squared, and so many of you guys who listen to Art Cafe. A lot of people that listen to the show were there, and it was just fun to see faces, you know, and have actual real person to person conversations. So it was really cool to see that, and be part of it and experience it. And yeah, it was really well organized. So what else can I say? That was my recap. You should go. Next time it's up, the tickets are for sale. Fucking go. Save money and go. That's all I can say. It's worth it. It's worth every penny. Yeah, that's it. Let's wrap it up. I think I went a half an hour more than I wanted to.
It's fine.
On this one. Oh, good.
Okay.
Oh, good. There's gonna be more of that. I want to cut clips from this. Make it more accessible. I hope I've answered some of the questions. I know there was a lot of questions, right? We didn't answer.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot of them.
fuck it, come back. There's gonna be more AMAs, and we'll do more. So what next? Okay, so I'm gonna have all the guys from the expedition art. I'm gonna have them again for like a longer conversational art cafe. So expect to have Terrell Whitlatch. If you don't know who Terrell Whitlatch is, go fuck yourself. Expect to have Ian McKay. If you don't know who Ian McKay is, go fuck yourself. I'm gonna keep going. I have Christy Tipton, Manny Carrasco, and David Levy. If you don't know who they are, Google. And if that's not enough, go fuck yourself. But yeah, there's amazing people. Gonna have them again. I want to have Aaron Blaze on the stream too. I worked with Aaron before on you know what I mean. I worked with him on Legend of Tembo that brutally collapsed together with Digital Domain. But that was awesome times because working with Aaron is amazing. He's such an amazing human being. I love that guy. He's like a teddy bear, but amazingly talented and very focused on work. Eric Canetti is coming to the stream as well. George Hall is coming to the stream as well. There's a bunch of other names that I have in play. I just came back from the hiatus, so there's more art cafes coming up soon. Obviously gonna post every time something's coming up. All it comes down to is finding what time works with those people when they have time, and when they have time, we're gonna do it. So, but those are the names that shown interest in being part of this show. So hopefully soon. All I can ask is subscribe and spread the word so more people watch it, and so I can get that Bugatti very soon. I'm joking. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. Hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you next time.
Have a good one.
Peace.